It's the feel of old Florida, meandering right through Citrus County, 8 miles from the springs to the Gulf. Its beauty above the surface is undeniable, though for locals, it's what's just beneath that matters most. But over the years, a toxic blue-green algae has taken hold of the Homosassa River, and funding to help restore it now hangs in the balance. For Steve Mingai, it was love at first sight. And I don't just mean with wife Cindy, though married 26 years, the now retired firefighters are still inseparable. What I am talking about is their love of Homosassa River.
We were about 5 years out from retirement, and we were looking to retire on the water. A friend told us about Homosassa. We came over and took a look at it, and I think a month later, we owned our house.
Just a quarter mile, not even from the section of the river the locals call the Blue Waters, because it used to be crystal clear and blue. Used to, the point Steve made to us out on the water today.
It was nice and it was beautiful, we thought, and it is beautiful. But all the neighbors and the longtime residents kept telling us how pretty it used to be.
A river much clearer and full of vegetation. Steve says people were catching fish and blue crab right off the docks, exactly what you might expect near Homosassa Springs. But over the last few decades, the area has been overrun by a toxic blue-green algae known as Lingbia. It covers much of the riverbed, and if it's allowed to keep growing, it's projected to kill off 90% of the river's native vegetation. Steve says he couldn't just stand by and watch. So in 2016, he and some others began looking into what could be done and learned just north of them at Crystal River, algae fighting efforts were already underway.
We were invited up to Save Crystal River to see what they were doing up there, and I'd say within 10 minutes of being on one of their boats, I wasn't even listening anymore. I just decided we just had to do it here at the Homosassa.
A grassroots effort took off, and the Homosassa River Restoration Project was formed. They took their cause to Tallahassee, worked and reworked plans, and finally, in 2020, Steve got the call that $2 million in funding came through.
I was dancing in the living room. It wasn't pretty.
At last, work on the river could begin. The mission is to replant seagrass, lots of it, so that it grows, forms meadows, and takes back the riverbed. It's all done by a team with Sea and Shoreline, the aquatic restoration company contracted to do the work. They begin by vacuuming the riverbed. A diver uses a hose to suck up algae, the water that comes with it cleaned and put back. Jessica Maye, one of the project biologists, explains why.
But these guys are down there sometimes in zero visibility, so when the biology team comes in, they have a nice solid bottom to put those plants in.
The kind used is eelgrass, grown in the Sea and Shoreline nursery and replanted by divers. Often, cages are used for protection. Divers will even go back down for upkeep. Along the river, Jessica points out signs asking boaters to not disturb. Then, just around the bend, we were lucky enough to see up close what the new grass means to the river's ecosystem.
We have a strong root hold, solid bottom, and these plants, even though they are being munched on and they're given a little trim, springtime next year when the manatees move back out to the Gulf, these plants will grow tall again.
And it's not just food for these gentle giants. The grass provides cover for smaller marine life, helps to filter water, and stabilizes the riverbed. Jessica says when the algae is left to take over, you can be sure we'll eventually feel the effects too.
A lot of people may not understand how bad this river system could be without restoration efforts. We could lose our crabbing industry, we could lose recreational and commercial fishing. It will be just a downfall for the community.
By the end of this planting season, Sea and Shoreline will have completed phase 1 of the project, 25 acres. Steve described seeing one of the grass meadows for the first time.
To go up there after all these years and to go underneath the bridge and just see nothing but grass meadows, white sand, no algae, it was gorgeous, beautiful, and we couldn't wait to get in the water. We did.
A rewarding feeling, though Steve says there's still a long way to go. To date, the Homosassa River Restoration Project has received a total of $9.5 million in state funding. But to finish restoring all of the blue waters, another $9 million is needed, and even more to carry on down the river. Right now, that funding has stalled. An earmarked $10 million vetoed by Governor Ron DeSantis in the latest budget, despite an equal amount approved for the very same work being done in Crystal River. In fact, funding for Crystal River has now reached $37 million. That's more than 4 times the Homosassa project.
We are basically the same type of river. We're a first magnitude spring river. We have the same issues, so it would be nice to get the same funding. I love it when Crystal River gets funding. That means they're going to get their project done. I'm just hoping that down the line, we're shown the same love.
Hope now hinges on the latest round of grant money the organization has applied for. $4 million, enough to keep planting another season. And so they wait to find out. Will they keep working, or will the progress they've made be overcome once again by toxic algae? Time is not on the river's side. Kate McVeigh, Spectrum News.